But we're going to get started again in the lower back. Just the lower back movement is such a good one to really pay attention to, not to overdo it, but just to know that when we do walk, remember what we did last week was just getting this little bit of movement into this lower lumbar spine. And you'll see that this movement is right down here in these last couple of vertebrae, not up here in that thoracic spine space, okay? Not that we need to hold tension here, okay? But the tendency is that we're told so often that we need to protect
Grab my
our
black
back.
strap just to give you an idea. Notice how my black strap fits quite nicely. I'm not touching the ground in any way, okay? So I'm up here. Position yourself, get that roll right into the middle of your back, your lower back, so that you can feel how your pelvis could drop off of it, okay? And you'll notice if you do this at first, if I let my pelvis drop off, see my rib cage starts to come up because this arch initially makes this movement from up here. It's the easiest place for the body to do it, okay? But we want, and really there's nothing that wrong with moving from here. It's when we move from here all the time and this is frozen. We want to be able to get that full movement through the entire spine,
Okay,
which is
I'm
what
gonna
we're
use
working on
spiny guy
today.
here today a lot. Now, when you squat, this joint here, which is your hip socket, you move a little closer, okay? If your feet are pointing straight, so now they can only go to, if I turn my toes out, let my knees follow the same direction as my toes, I get down to here, right? This is supposed to be a human resting position. Lateral movement is one hand, one leg reaches, just like this. Again, great movement, and you'll notice when my leg extends, I move not only with my glute, but into that lower back curvature, which is a connection. And you'll see my rib cage is staying fairly stable. Tendency is, again, body loves to move in the easiest way possible, is, oh, I don't know if you're not going to do this. See how my rib cage can now move? It's not that comfortable. I'm not used to it, really. Okay, so we're here. We can move this. Your spine is meant to move, sidebar, your spine is meant to move in a few different ways. One is extension, right? You've seen people do back bends, and this is a typical space for a back bend, right? We're not all contortionists. So that's extension. The other thing is flexion, okay? We're usually pretty good at flexion, collapsing into that gravity-driven unconscious slouch. However, conscious flexion is really good as well, where you can see how we can get this flexion all the way through the spine. Now again, we're not all contortionists, but we can move that way, and we come back to this position. We also have rotation, okay, where each vertebra can rotate slightly, and you'll see there's not a lot of rotation in this bottom part, but there's quite a bit of rotation up here. Luckily, we have a rib cage to stabilize that. Okay, we also have lateral flexion, which we're also going to build into this next thing. So lateral flexion is how we go over to the side this way. And again, you'll notice there's one spot that does a majority. And if I keep doing this, there's one spot where that's the majority of flexion is like right here. Okay. We don't, again, contortionism, we don't need to do that, but we do want to move our spine in all these different ways. Okay. What happens when we move the spine in these ways is that we get this blood flow into all of these discs. Okay. Which helps keep our spine healthy. All right. Now we're going to go into rocking. So when we rock, okay, and you felt when we came down from that little bridge and we lowered down, this lumbar spine went punk, was kind of flat. What we're going to do is really actively crunch that so that it becomes a little bit more flexed so that we can rock easier. And you'll notice when you start rocking that you won't be able to really get that full flexion in there, and there might be that tunk, tunk, tunk kind of sensation, play with it, okay? It does take practice. So what we're gonna do is lay on our backs, okay? And we're just rocking. So we lift, we tuck, 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 and you use your legs, and we rock. You are jumping and landing, because we're gonna be doing a jump and landing in our combo as well. So remembering with our landing, when we land, okay, it's that full absorption of landing, and you can just practice, even if you're standing at Costco, okay, or standing in line, because everything's gonna be shut pretty soon. Anyways, what we're doing is getting a little bit of bounce and then just dropping and landing, okay? So let your body just fall and just feel how, if you reach your arms out, it gives you that counterbalance. Feels funny at first, but as you do that, and then you kind of just sort of jump, and we get that landing. And you can make that noise too, because that kind of helps. A third of the bones in our body are in our feet. And what happens with that is you should have, my brother-in-law always told me I had monkey toes. So you should have some dexterity in your feet so that when you are walking, the rest of your body gets really clear signals as to the speed you're walking, your balance, what you're walking on, everything, okay? We wear really stable shoes, and the tendency is the more injuries you have in your body, the stiffer your shoes get, which is kind of the reverse of what should happen. We need to be able to use our feet. Now, I'm not saying go out and walk around barefoot for 24 hours a day now. A, it's too cold out, okay? But B, you need, just like any exercise, you need to build this slowly into your feet. So what we're gonna do first, and what you can do, there's little toe spreaders that you can get, and I'll try and send that 90-90 sit position, okay? So when we're here and we've got this 90-90, remember, pay attention to your back knee. But this move can come all the way up to standing. So here's another getting up off the floor, getting back down onto the floor move that can be helpful. So we're here, and remember I think we've done this where we switch sides, okay? Nice hip warm up. But what we're gonna do from here is actually come forward, okay? So we're here, and now we're balancing on this leg. This is a glute move. Your glute has to work to get you into this. Now, when you balance on your knee, it's not that you're balancing on your knee, but you're stabilizing from your hip, okay? So you come up, that hip's working very slowly, as slow as you can. You take this leg in front, this toe tucks under, whoop. Now I'm standing, okay? Same thing if I want to step back and sit down, we step back, okay? This leg, instead of just plopping down on this hip, which isn't really a good idea, you can take this leg, swing it around. This is stable, okay? This is where I'm stabilizing from. This leg comes around, and I can sit back. Come up, okay? This is stable. Step forward, come up. Same thing. Step back, okay? Swing this leg around with control, okay? Don't just whoosh, fly it up there. That's momentum. I want you to use control to build that stability. So we're here, we go as slow as we can to sit down, okay? You can switch sides, keep going, and that can be a great groundwork move where if you have a minute, just step back, switch sides, work into those hips, come up to standing. Hips will feel better, back will feel better. This starts to work more, all that fun stuff, okay? So let's get started. I'm gonna stop talking. Yep. Coming up to that squat, okay? Point those toes out a little bit, okay? Remember, we're just going down to where our tailbone's controlled, not dropping under, and up, okay? So we've got 4, 3, 2, on this one, stay low and sink down onto your knee. However you do that, okay? That initial sissy squat move can be just one knee. Just make sure you do the other knee on the other side, okay? To here, remember you had 4 options. You can do this, you can do hand knee crawl, you can just hold here, or hand foot crawl all the way around. And let's go in a big circle because circles are fun. So we're going in that big circle, and you're gonna come back to that initial spot where we do tripod transition, whoosh, into what would be an inverted crawl, but you're gonna sit down. Rock around in a circle, whoop. Nice flexion, lateral flexion, all the way around. And then you rock up to standing. Up to standing, jump. One leg, landing.